You are watching NBS Live at 9 as NBS celebrates 18 years of growth and transformation. It's a great opportunity for me to be back. My name is Mebo Twegumiezake.
And mate, looking at you back in the days was really fun. Yeah. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Solomon Serwanja.
And my name is Shilan Huchide. What a pleasure to be back here 6 years after I said goodbye to all of you beautiful Ugandans watching us tonight.
Well, welcome once again to NBS Live at 9. A death penalty for Major General James Birungi if convicted of treachery and security-related charges. Tonight we sneak into the military court-martial to bring you one of our lead stories.
And imagine 10 trillion shillings lost annually as government continuously borrows to cover deficits.
And tonight, later on in the bulletin, Ugandan members of parliament want South African ambassador summoned over xenophobic attacks. They want that issue to appear on Parliament's order paper.
Well, speaking of which, of course, there are violent scenarios in South Africa and Uganda is not keeping quiet. We sent already a plane to repatriate over 730 Ugandans and many more are still stranded there. The government said that they will continue to put in place every effort to ensure that they come back home. We're also closely following the big story of the day as the IGG says that the 88 billion shillings allocated to them in the national budget is not enough for them to fight corruption.
First, the headlines.
Former CMI Director Major General Birungi is charged in the court-martial with treachery and security-related offences.
Where was this office when all this evidence was on social media?
The burden of investigating corruption.
When we know there are preventive measures.
What impact has it had on institutions appointed to fight it?
A very difficult situation for the institution now.
The Continental Parliament.
You cannot tell me that that parliament is of any importance to Africa.
What has it done to forge the unity of the African continent?
Most of the things they deliver is advisory to the African Union.
Can we serve those ones that have applied already?
Digital number plates, those in charge given up to August to clear the backlog in vehicle registration.
Post-registration also shall be limited.
The unending construction works on the Northern Bypass, contractor given 7 days to complete. And the good news is, Buganda Kingdom unveils a 409 billion budget for the 2026-2027 financial year. What are the priorities for the kingdom?
This is NBS Live at 9.
2 minutes after 9 o'clock, welcome to our comprehensive coverage of the big stories today. I'm Solomon Serwanja.
My name is Mebo Twegumiezake. I couldn't be happier to be standing next to you once again.
Mate, I'm so happy to be back next to you, Sam. I'm really excited.
Okay, let's do this. The news in details. The General Court Martial sitting at Makindye has remanded Major General James Birungi on charges of treachery and offences related to security.
Well, the former director of the Chieftains of Military Intelligence, now known as the Directorate of Intelligence and Security, was on Monday arraigned before a panel chaired by Brigadier General Richard Tukachugura.
The court-martial in Makindye was defined by heavy deployment of military police. The courtyard, under a heavy guard, saw former CMI Director Major General Birungi James arrive at 10:37 a.m. alongside 3 other UPDF officers. His family members and lawyers were already waiting in the courtyard. Major General James Birungi was charged with treachery and offences related to security and remanded back to Makindye Military Barracks until August 3rd, 2026, when he's expected to return to court. Relatedly, 3 other UPDF officers have been charged with murder in connection with the fatal shooting of suspected suicide bombers during security operations. The incidents relate to the shooting of a woman travelling on a motorcycle near Kalere Market and a man near the Catholic Shrine in Munyonyo during the Uganda Mother's Day celebrations. The identities of the alleged 3 Birungi's co-accused are yet to be confirmed. Media coverage of the proceedings was restricted after journalists were prevented from taking photographs or covering the court session. At the time of his arrest last year, Major General Birungi had been transferred from the Chieftaincy of Military Intelligence CMI by the CDF General Hose Kainerugaba on April 16, 2025. He was later arrested in August 2025 and accused of giving falsified intelligence information including fake petrol and suicide bombers with purposes of obtaining money from the state, according to sources. Major General Birungi is among the people who are listed as state witnesses in the case against Dr. Kanukisa Besigye, Hajo Bedlutale and Captain Dennis Ola, who are accused of treason, plotting to overthrow a legitimate government.
We're closely following that story for you, but to give you a comprehensive look at what the offense of treachery really is and what it means and what are the penalties, we thought that we could just break it down for you through this information. Let's look at the offense of treachery here. If you are charged with the offense of treachery, it means that you committed you were unlawfully engaging in war or warlike activities intending to overthrow the government of Uganda.
Okay, and then also in case you procure or assist foreign entities or agents to invade Uganda.
Well, certainly if you solicit, incite or assist any person or group to overthrow the government of Uganda.
Well, and it continues on as you keep following. If you provide logistical, intelligence or even financial support to rebel groups or even armed forces operating against the state.
Well, certainly this is the UPDF Act, and it says if you conceal, withhold or fail to disclose information about the commission or intended commission of treason, treachery to the proper authorities.
Serious charges indeed, as you continue to watch NBS Live at 9. The maximum penalty, like we did tell you in the global intro, the offense of treachery is a capital offense, and of course upon conviction by a competent or military or civil court, it is punishable by death.
Wow. Sheila, Sheila and Mabel will certainly be closely following that story for you as we really look into the detail of what will be happening at the military court-martial.
Indeed.
Now, political analysts have, 6 years later, we need to first get this right. All right. Political analysts and former inspector generals of government say the Inspectorate of Government is facing mounting pressure as it battles political interference, inadequate funding, and what they describe as limited funds. Their remarks come amid a wave of high-profile corruption investigations, with former IGGs warning that it is unrealistic to expect this institution to defeat corruption without broader government support. We have more in this story.
Almost every day, new corruption allegations emerge from within government, from investigations involving former Speaker Anita Among to ongoing probes into Parliament and other public institutions. The Inspectorate of Government, alongside other anti-corruption agencies, continue to investigate and arrest suspects linked to the misuse of public funds. But as the number of corruption cases continues to grow, questions are being raised about whether the Inspectorate has the capacity to effectively investigate them all. Political analysts say the institution is carrying an increasingly heavy burden. The first Ombudsman and former Inspector General of Government, Augustine Ruzindana, says corruption has become deeply entrenched across government institutions, making it more difficult to fight today than it was during his tenure.
It's a very difficult job now. Corruption is the norm. Everybody agrees, and yet the office is expected to deal with the exception, not the norm. If it is a disease, that's an epidemic.
While acknowledging the growing scale of corruption, experts say the Inspectorate remains constrained by limited resources. They argue that its current budget of shillings 88 billion is inadequate for the volume and complexity of investigations it is expected to handle, citing persistent funding and staffing gaps.
Human resources to carry out the job, because especially where you have now the level of technology where we have moved.
Many times we've said that instead of government channeling money through some ad hoc institutions, Every time State House alone has about 3 or 4 institutions all purporting to fight corruption. Why don't you empower this constitutional office of IGG such that it does its work better?
Beyond financial and human resource constraints, experts say political interference remains one of the biggest obstacles to effective investigations. They argue that although the government frequently pledges to fight corruption, many high-profile cases eventually lose momentum. Wasalule says the executive has on several occasions exerted unnecessary pressure on investigators and the inspectorate, making it more difficult for them to conduct independent investigations.
There needs to be some secrecy. The more you discuss them in public, the more you influence the direction of the direction and quality of the investigation.
That we have received this petition, we're investigating this, but it never comes back to the same public. What happened?
Augustine Luzindana further argues that despite having laws and institutions in place, the government has not demonstrated sufficient political will to decisively tackle corruption. He says this remains one of the inspectorate's greatest challenges.
The issue is actually partly the will.
The Inspectorate of Government has introduced several measures aimed at curbing corruption and safeguarding public resources, including mandatory wealth declarations and lifestyle audits of public officials. The focus now shifts to whether the ongoing investigations will be concluded and those found culpable held accountable.
Now, corruption in Uganda imposes a massive socio-economic burden with an estimated 10 trillion lost annually. The systemic issue stifles economic growth, inflates public debt as the government borrows to cover deficits, and severely compromises essential services like healthcare and infrastructure. Let's take a deeper look at that. And now, on lost public revenue and rising debt, can we just have a look at that? Subverted. Okay, I'm going to request my producer to just run through that. Rising debt, rampant tax evasion, and diversion of public funds into private accounts deplete the national treasury. To make up for these shortfalls, the government resorts to heavy external borrowing, forcing taxpayers to service mounting national debt. Now, with those also subverted social services, kickbacks and procurement fraud significantly inflate the cost of infrastructure, such as road construction, while embezzlement siphons funds away from healthcare and education, ultimately reducing the quality of life for ordinary Ugandans. The other cost of corruption is undermined development programs. Grassroots initiatives intended to alleviate poverty, such as the parish development model, are frequently hijacked by corrupt local officials, demanding bribes or diverting funds entirely. The other cost of corruption is weakened rule of law and trust. The absence of robust whistleblower and witness protection leads to dismissed cases and rare convictions for high-level officials, which erodes public trust in democratic institutions and state capacity.
Certainly, we're losing a lot of money in corruption. And speaking of which, we're privileged to be speaking with Timothy Chimonges, who is the Executive Director at the Parliamentary Watch. He's also a good governance expert. Timothy, thank you so much for joining us. Certainly, we have institutions like the Anti-Corruption Court. We have the Anti-Corruption Court, we have the Inspectorate of Government, and yet we lose about 10 trillion shillings. This time, though, the president seems very tired of corruption, and he says it's time for the IGG to really stop backing and start biting. Timothy, how big is the burden on the IGG to push back against corruption in this country?
Thank you, Solomon. I think that the juxtaposition of this is in the lived realities of Ugandans, where you see access to healthcare, access to education, and many of the things that affect the ordinary citizens. That's the direct, question around the corruption. And I think for me, aspects to do with political will. We can establish as many anti-corruption agencies on top of already what we have. But if there is no goodwill to ensure that these institutions can independently execute, prosecute, but also have the capacity to, gather the evidence needed to have successful prosecution. I think that we may not be able to make a lot of progress, especially that we are looking at 10 trillion. 10 trillion is a lot of money. We still have kids and children studying under trees. Healthcare systems, many of our citizens can hardly access medicines and many of these other areas. So there's a fundamental problem. But I think that there's progress, and I think that it's welcomed that there seems to be a strong signal from the presidency that the goodwill is there, and therefore the institution should be able to act and bite, and that any goodwill at whatever level is welcomed, and especially Parliament. Because you see, once you deal with Parliament, an institution that is responsible for, checking, oversight, budgeting, being able to represent the need of the people and legislate, you've significantly dealt with the problem. And therefore, starting with Parliament for me is a welcomed idea, and I think that it's long overdue. And I hope that with the ongoing investigations, with the ongoing arrests, that can not only just stop at that. We must see prosecution, we must see arrest, but also we must see a clear result of what is happening. Other than it can easily be interpreted as a political move. Yet there's a bigger problem that we are dealing with as a country.
Yes, certainly. Tim, let me just come in here because, look, there is an ongoing investigation right now by the IGG, and the focus is on Parliament, unmasking the big corruption scandal. We just saw about seven parliamentary administrative officers taken to the anti-corruption court. But investigating such fraud is complex. The IGG says that the 88 billion shillings allocated to them every financial year is not enough. This is complicated corruption that requires to bring on experts to investigate deeper so that you can get evidence that you can present in court to secure a conviction. Would you therefore agree that the IGG's office needs to be given more funding to support investigation and get evidence to hold the corrupt accountable?
Ultimately, yes. The fight of corruption requires resources, but I think for me, the biggest problem we are dealing with is around political will, where we've seen many times, you see the head of state coming out to say a few people came to me and they've since asked for forgiveness and they've been let free. You see a plethora of them involved in a saga. Let's say, for example, the Mabati saga. You have only one of them, yet there are quite a number of them who were involved in the saga. So the question of how the office of the IGG, together with these other anti-corruption units, the ability to execute their work independently, for me, comes primary. Money comes secondary. We've seen, for example, the accountability committees in Parliament. They've done an amazing job. Some of them have been able to unearth and very many things around question of corruption. We just need to ensure that these committees are given space to prosecute these matters, and the outcomes of the investigation by these committees are clearly followed up by Parliament, and the individuals who are, find themselves within the ambits of this question of corruption are prosecuted and they're held to account. We've seen accounting officers, for example, Parliament, and it's very interesting to see the discussion of Parliament where you see, senior management being held accountable, and you have a clerk of Parliament who is still hanging there about. Yet he is the accounting officer. So we need to be more deliberate. Yes, question of resources is key. We need money to support investigation, but also personnel, which cannot be underscored. But we need to ensure that institutions not only feel independent, but they're able to execute their mandate in an independent and free and fair manner, so that it's clear, so that there's predictability in how institutions operate. There is clarity in terms of, because the bar has already been set by the law. And if we're able to follow that, then these institutions should be able to implement that.
Look, Tim, I have covered Parliament, and the Auditor General every financial year audits the books of accounts for government and comes up with the Auditor General's report, which certainly is presented to the Speaker. And then that report is taken to the Public Accounts Committee. We've seen different government agencies coming before the committee. And yet they are not, the committee like Parliamentary Accounts Committee, investigates, and then, after that, everything just dies quietly and silently. What hopes do we have that when we empower these institutions to work, that we can easily nail the corrupt and hold them accountable?
Thank you. I think that, so it's true that there have been mishaps here and there. Many of them a function of the system, but also the function of the interference by individuals. But I think for me, the most sustainable and the most credible means of dealing with the current problem is, strengthening these institutions so that they're able to, and it should not just be on corruption, all through. You have a Human Rights Commission, you have the IGG, or even any other institution. We should be able to allow institutions to operate in an independent manner and they deliver. Otherwise, once you individualize or you create a benevolence of individuals to address a specific problem, it becomes good in the short term, but in the long run is very unpredictable and may end up undermining the goodwill that has been established. You speak about the Auditor General's report, and I think quite a number of challenges that we are dealing with, both at the national and at the local government level. If we are able to ensure that the IGG's reports are implemented as expected, we are likely to manage the question of corruption in the country, right, but also deal with the perceptional issues that come along with that.
Timothy Chemonges, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, team. And I must say that you're doing an amazing job at the Parliamentary Watch, keeping a close eye on the August Assembly. Timothy Chemonges there, thanks for joining us. Sheila, what is the next big story we're focusing on tonight?
Tonight's biggest story that we have been following here for you at NBS is the story in South Africa. And some members of parliament in Uganda have condemned those attacks, the xenophobic attacks against fellow Africans, and they demand that the Speaker of Parliament on Tuesday have this matter placed on the order paper and debated after recess, once the members return from recess.
This is an African problem to be solved by Africans.
In a press conference held at Parliament on Monday, some members of Parliament condemned the act by South African citizens of treating foreigners as enemies, saying it is shameful.
We are not attacking the government of South Africa, but we are saying you are quiet. There is the devil in being quiet.
The issues they have to fight are not fellow Africans who have migrated to South Africa. They should seek to correct the mistakes that were created by apartheid.
They now want this matter to be placed on the order paper tomorrow when Parliament resumes sitting.
Parliament must come up with a clear statement.
However, these MPs are divided on the issue of attacking South African companies operating in Uganda.
Let them know that their institutions, their businesses out of South Africa are enormous.
We should not seek to be like South Africans. Two wrongs don't make a right.
MP Namboze also said it is time for Ugandans to learn that they can also prosper in their own country and start moving away from the idea of leaving the country to look for jobs.
We should learn not to run away from home because of social, political, or economic problems. We should seek to rectify those problems back home.
The MPs say this as the government started repatriating Ugandans from South Africa, and those who have arrived so far have been taken to Chankwanzi for orientation and counselling.
Still watching NBS Live at 9. Now, as Uganda prepares to send a new delegation to the Pan-African Parliament, questions are once again being asked about the continental legislative body and whether it delivers meaningful benefits to ordinary citizens or merely serves as another forum for political engagement. While supporters say the institution provides an important platform for shaping Africa's future, critics argue that it's largely advisory. The mandate has yielded little tangible impact despite the public resources spent on it.
Following the NRM Parliamentary Caucus's selection of 3 legislators to represent Uganda at the Pan-African Parliament, fresh debate has emerged over the significance of the African Union institution to the average Ugandan. Andrew Irumba Katusabe, the executive director of the Pan-African Pyramid, argues that the parliament has little tangible evidence to show for its advisory role in fostering African integration, particularly in promoting harmonized policies and common continental agendas.
The members, we pay money through government to subscribe there. But after you have subscribed there, how does it come back to help me? You have seen DR Congo has been in war since time immemorial. What has the Pan-African Parliament done?
Irumba further contends that recurring xenophobic attacks in South Africa, the host country of the Pan-African Parliament, underscore the institution's limited influence in advancing African unity.
They are watching a movie. Other Africans being hounded out of South Africa as whites are actually entering. So you cannot tell me that that parliament is of any importance to Africa.
However, Anthony Akol, one of the legislators selected by the NRM caucus to represent Uganda, says it is unfair to judge the institution solely by its outcomes, noting that the Pan-African Parliament serves only in advisory capacity and does not possess lawmaking powers that are binding on member states.
Most of the things they deliver is advisory to the African Union that sits in Addis Ababa. But currently, I see there is a lot that is confronting the Pan-African Parliament, and majorly what is happening in South Africa, the xenophobia problem whereby the South African people don't want any other citizens to work in their country.
As Uganda continues to send a delegation of 5 members of parliament to the Pan-African Parliament, questions persist over whether taxpayers are getting value for the public funds spent on delegates' travel and participation in the body's periodic sittings.
For me, the major thing is when you lose hope, things become worse. People should have hope in Parliament of Uganda. They should have hope in the Parliament of East Africa, have hope in the Parliament of Africa.
The Pan-African Parliament is the legislative organ of the African Union. Established in March 2004 and headquartered in Midrand, South Africa, it comprises of 275 indirectly elected members, with each of the Pan-African Union's 55 member states represented by 5 parliamentarians. Although its current role is largely advisory, its long-term vision is to evolve into a fully-fledged legislative institution with law-making powers across the continent.
Now, the Pan-African Parliament remains complex and its mandate hard to understand. But to help us unpack that, I would like to hand you back to Mabel to help us understand what does it do, what is its mandate, Mabel?
Okay,
over to you.
Of course, thank you so much, Sheila. We are positioned very well with somebody, of course, who is going to answer a few questions when it comes to the Pan-African Parliament. That's the legislative body of the African Union, tasked, of course, with ensuring the participation of African peoples in governance and development. And of course, to do that on its relevance, we're joined by the Director of External Affairs at the NRM, that is retired Major Awich Pola. Well, thank you so much for joining us on NBS Live at 9. Okay, so let's start off on the governance of the Pan-African Parliament. 17 years on. Speak to its relevance and, of course, how effective it has been in influencing decisions not only at the African Union but also in the member states.
Pan-African Parliament, first of all, is an organ of AU. AU is such a big continental body, but to enable AU do its function, it has organs. And one of the key organs is this parliament. Now, as noted by various commentators, is that it lacks the power to make binding laws to member states. And this is maybe a framework system which governs the current global system. You will see that in many instruments of state formations, even if you go to the UN Charter, there's a uniform provision which provides that there is the element of sovereignty of states. So states are sovereign. And this doesn't matter whether a state of 1 billion or 1.5 billion like China, or a state of 37,000 people like Liechtenstein with a population of 37. Therefore, this inherent provision of state sovereignty gives hampering the progress of many institutions, both at the, like I said earlier, East African Treaty provides for that, the UN Charter provides for that, AU, whatever instruments that govern states. Therefore, we should know that Pan-African Parliament starts from that point of weakness. And state sovereignty is so supreme that even if you pass conventions, like conventions which is always passed at international forum, states can even opt to put what you call reservation. They will say, we have ratified this instrument, but Article 44, we are not bound by it. But all said and done is that Pan-African Parliament has tried its best. For example, it has made transnational laws. These are laws which they think should be adopted by Parliament. Remember, it will only take effect if adopted. For example, there's a law on regulation of medical products. They hope to do that. They have also been trying to meet the aspirations of Africans by advocating for reparations. Yes?
Regardless of its supremacy and the laws you're talking about, it's still tested on its real value and its integration agenda in terms of executing these laws and integrating, you know, Africa in general. So what can be done to see that this is actually effected?
What can be done is actually what they have been doing. They have been advocating for provisions where this parliament can urge states to make laws that are binding. That it is one of the key elements that they have been taking on. And that is why I'm saying they now do make laws and they urge parliaments. Because, as I said earlier, even laws made, for example, at the UN level, when you talk of, say, right of the children, it still needs to go through what you call domestication. You have to domesticate it. So in the case of Pan-African Parliament, they're agitating that since this parliament is really an African parliament, therefore, as you do domestication in other international laws, they have consistently advocated for laws that bind. In other words, they want to take the effective legislative role. How do we break barriers of this sovereignty principle?
Okay, so finally, before we let you go, one of our biggest stories today was about the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. What would have been the voice of the African Parliament and where is it? This is the time we should be hearing about it.
Incidentally, one of the key aspects of the Pan-African Parliament is human rights. And therefore, it is actually lacking, quotes and quotes, that the scene of crime, again, quotes and quotes, is in South Africa. If this had happened in Nigeria, therefore you would have to have committees of Pan-African Parliament visiting Nigeria. But in Midrand, which is near Joburg, I believe these incidences are happening. Therefore, this is a real challenge because it is happening right in their nose, right in their places of operation. And therefore, this key component of human rights, we like to see Pan-African Parliament take it head on because it is happening in real jurisdiction where they are.
Well, thank you so much. You're still watching NBS Live at 9. Let's turn you away from the Pan-African Parliament, bring you back to Uganda Kingdom, which has unveiled a 409 billion Uganda shilling budget for the 2026-2027 financial year, marking a 34% increase in the previous budget. So this was presented under the theme, Raising Standards, Improving Quality and Professionalism in the effort to restore Uganda to the top. The budget prioritizes agriculture, healthcare, education and investment. And during the presentation at Bulange Mengo, the Katikiro Charles Peter Maiga called for greater respect for the rule of law, warning the human rights violations that could undermine investor confidence.
By 9 a.m., Kingdom officials, religious leaders and politicians, led by the leader of opposition, Joel Senyonyi, had gathered at Bulange Mengo to witness the reading of the Uganda Kingdom's 2026-2027 budget. The Buganda Kingdom Treasurer Robert Nsibirwa unveiled a 409.1 billion shillings budget under the theme Raising Standards, Improving Quality and Professionalism in the effort to restore Buganda to the top. The proposed budget is 34% higher than last year's, signaling the kingdom's growing financial strength.
Okufuba okulaba ng'emirimu egikolebwa mu bukugu n'omutindo ogusaanidde gwe guli.
Speaking to the officials, the Katikiro, Charles Peter Maiga, say the steady growth in the kingdom's finances results from prudent management and accountability. He adds that although the kingdom still has a long way to go, this financial year's budget is built around 6 priority areas aimed at improving quality across all sectors. These include strengthening agriculture, expanding healthcare services, improving education infrastructure, and promoting sports and talent development. The increase in this year's budget follows a strong performance during the 2025-2026 financial year. The kingdom had projected revenue of 305.5 billion shillings but collected 320.5 billion shillings, exceeding its target by 4.9%. Much of the growth came from stronger than expected collections through Luwalo Rwafe, government payments, SACCOs, education and land. However, Maiga also used the occasion to call for greater respect for democracy and the rule of law, saying Uganda cannot achieve meaningful development without protecting people's rights.
Abakwatibwa baleme kutulugunyizibwa. Omuganda agamba bw'omegga toluma.
It's good that this is now going beyond we politicians, but we are glad that cultural leaders are speaking out. Some religious leaders are speaking out.
Well, we'll be breaking down the 409.1 billion Buganda budget for the financial year 2026-2027 shortly after a short break.
Life unfolds in chapters. Through many of these chapters, Jubilee has been present. But life does not happen in separate chapters, and protection should not be separate either. Two journeys have become one. Jubilee Life and Jubilee Health are now one. Here for every chapter, together for better. Jubilee Life Insurance Company of Uganda is regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda.
Uganda's economic future is being shaped now. Get the insights, connections, and policy perspectives you need to stay ahead. Join leading professionals, business leaders, and policymakers at the 14th CPA Economic Forum under the theme, Powering Uganda's $500 billion future. Join us from the 15th to the 17th of July, 2026 at the Imperial Resort Beach Hotel, Entebbe, or attend online. Register now at www.icpau.co.ug. The 14th CPA Economic Forum. Be a part of the conversation shaping Uganda's future.
They share an office. Some work in the day, some at night. What they have in common: focus, dedication. That's what makes them champions. They also share something else: the reward of being one. The official beer of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Not for persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
From 11 June to 19 July, everything can wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026. Catch all 104 matches on 4 dedicated channels, live on SuperSport, only on DSTV.
Why pay for someone else's repairs? Say goodbye to hidden costs and hello to peace of mind of a brand new start. Discover the Suzuki range of unmatched, fuel-efficient and reliable options. From the iconic Jimny to the new Across Hybrid. Find the perfect blend of style and world-class efficiency. Upgrade today and enjoy 1 year of free fuel and comprehensive insurance, plus 2 years of free service and a 3-year warranty. Trade in your current car or choose financing to start driving as you pay installments. Don't wait. Visit the Suzuki showroom today or call 0800-211-033 to get started.
The problem is the foundation.
You know the kind of cement I'm using in this foundation? I guarantee you even my grandchildren will come and find this house.
You buy your buy today and get the job done. Strong, reliable, available at hardware shops countrywide.
Carrying cash can be stressful. The I&M Bank multi-currency prepaid card makes paying smart and simple. Load and spend confidently in 9 currencies: Ugandan shilling, Kenyan shilling, Tanzanian shilling, Rwandan franc, Indian rupees, United States dollar, British pound, euro, and South African rand. Enjoy safe, simple payments wherever you go. The I&M Bank multi-currency prepaid card is open to everyone, whether you have an I&M Bank account or not. Get yours today and pay confidently worldwide in 9 currencies.
I&M Bank Uganda Limited is regulated by Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund up to 10 million shillings. Terms and conditions apply.
I&M Bank, on your side.
Hello, Mr. Mkasa.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, sir. Are you the broker?
The original one.
I was told you have very good rentals.
That is right. How many bedrooms do you want?
I want 3 bedrooms.
Okay, did I tell you of the price?
Yes, of course. 500,000.
No. This side, the salary went a bit high.
Why?
Because the paint we use is of good quality. So the place gained the value.
Which paint?
Global paint.
How?
For the ceiling, for us we use Global Matte. And for the inside walls, we use Global Silk Vinyl.
Okay, tell me about the outside walls.
Outside we use Global Weather Coat Emulsion so that the walls don't peel.
I'm really impressed. The precision you put while painting, I'm willing to pay any amount.
That is true, because here for us quality is paramount and the place becomes umite.
Global Paint, a reliable product.
Can I have a light, please? What is this?
Castle Light, the best testing light.
Try it.
Try it, try it, try it. Da, 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 da.
Guys, look at this post.
Nothing hits like extra cold. Castle Light. Try it.
You're watching NBS Live at 9 from the Political Command Center. Thank you for staying with us. Tonight, we take a closer look at the Buganda budget, just to break it down for you, to show you the priorities of the kingdom and where they will be placing the money. Nebo.
Well, it's a lot of money, at least it looks like that. It's a 409.1 billion budget. So let's look at agriculture, for example, and of course cooperatives, that is standing at 87.09 billion shillings.
Well, the Kingdom will be investing about 92 billion shillings in investment, and I support them on this because The kingdom has to stay sustainable by investing so that there's enough money to take care of.
What about the royal treasury? Well, that's another sector that also needs money, and when you look at it, it's standing at 26.6 billion Uganda shillings.
Interesting to look at the allocation to the budget sector, to the education sector, at 28.6 billion shillings, quite a big figure there to support the education sector in the kingdom.
It does, and of course it explains why the kingdom does a lot when it comes to primary and secondary schools, but also bursaries across the region. But then when we turn to the health sector, it stands at 6.1 billion Uganda shillings.
Well, the question though is, where is this money coming from to support that budget? The kingdom will be getting 48 billion shillings from its development and commercial partners.
Yeah, there are also establishment of specific factories across Buganda region, and of course you look at it at 20 billion Uganda shillings.
The kingdom is eyeing compensations from the central government, to say the less, that they will seek to raise about 34.5 billion shillings, Mabel.
Yeah. And of course, so many of Buganda loyalists depend on circles and cooperative societies in the different areas, and that's at 88.5 billion Uganda shillings.
Charles Peter Maiga and the entire team in Bulange is focusing also on the education sector. They're seeking to get about 28 billion shillings from the different education institutions.
Etaka. Land-based transactions at 36.6 billion Uganda shillings.
And of course is the Sabataka, the Kabaka of Buganda.
You're still watching NBS Live at 9, and of course at this point we want to turn to you and listen into your feedback, of course, when it comes to our poll question of the day. So let's take a
feedback brought to you by. In business, you need advice, solutions, and sector expertise when it matters.
Your new office space looks great. What's next?
We get it. Absa Business Banking.
Yeah, so tonight our poll question, we asked, and of course you responded across our social media platforms, on Twitter, on Facebook, and we're going to read some of your comments coming from the question: what more should be done by the Pan-African Parliament to bring unity to the continent?
Interesting feedback that we're getting from the different viewers. Cosmas Amutuhaire. And he says that the Pan-African Parliament must transition from an advisory body into a fully fledged legislative organ by successfully lobbying member states to ratify the Malabo Protocol, maximize parliamentary diplomacy and conflict resolution, and support economic and physical integration.
Yeah, your viewpoints are important to us, your opinion. Ariat Clark Regan, that is at Aria Twijuka, Reg 1. The Pan-African Parliament should strengthen unity in Africa, he says, by promoting democracy. He's talking about free movement of people, peaceful conflict resolution, and greater economic integration to build a stable and prosperous continent.
I agree with him. I don't know what happened to the agreement that all of us should be one single market, but let's see how that is. More of your comments and feedback?
Yeah, but of course...
Let's just get some of those. We have the Uganda Human Rights, the Uganda High Commission in Pretoria. I think the conversation is really largely going to be on the xenophobic attacks in South Africa.
Yeah.
And the embassy there says that 560 Ugandans now safely home. Congratulations to government. Thank you so much for taking care of our people and bring them home. With the arrival of 255 Ugandans from South Africa, it's good news, Mabel.
The big man is here.
Joel Senyonyi.
Yeah, so he's saying today we attended the presentation of the Buganda Kingdom's 2026-2027 budget. Embalirira ya Buganda. 2026 Bulange Mengo. The budget is worth 409 billion, which we actually went through and looked at the different,
Maybe Ogomiza Munyo Katona. All right, let's look at Antonio Guterres, who has just tweeted out and said no child should be a guinea pig for unregulated AI. That's why I am calling for an AI child safety pledge built on the 3 rules: safety testing and oversight, zero tolerance for abuse, and crisis support systems. When a child is harmed, the answer must never be the algorithm did it.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one, certainly.
Okay, well, Sheila, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mabel and Solomon. Now to a story that affects all of us. The government and the private contractor managing Uganda's digital number plate system have pledged to clear a growing backlog in vehicle registration services by the end of August. The commitment comes as delays continue to disrupt vehicle trade and fuel complaints from motorists and dealers. The Ministry of Works and Transport says the backlog has stained and strained the vehicle and motorcycle industry, slowed down imports, and created opportunities for exploitation in replacement and post-registration services.
Delays in issuing digital number plates has become a serious operational and economic challenge affecting both businesses and end users. Speaking after a high-level meeting on the performance of the transport registration system, the Minister of Works and Transport, Fred Byamukama, acknowledged that some motorcycle distribution companies that previously handled hundreds of units daily were now unable to release stock due to delays in registration.
This problem has been around for almost a year, but now increasing.
According to the Ministry of Works, the contract is currently able to process about 2,500 post-registration applications per month, covering both motorcycles and motor vehicles. However, official data shows that more than 47,000 pending applications are in the system. Byamukama says the government is now considering emergency measures, including temporarily suspending of voluntary number plate changes in order to prioritize urgent cases and reduce pressure on the system.
But we want to work with the contractor to see, can we serve those ones who have applied already?
The production and installation director of the digital number plate project, Nikita Novoselov, says the backlog and supply disruptions affecting the system will be fully resolved by 30th August this year.
We highlighted the problem that post-registration also shall be limited.
In a related development, the Works Minister, Byamukama, has given Sterling Civil Engineering the contractor on the 21-meter northern bypass. He says the delays have cost the country, with investors, tourists, and the business community losing time and fuel on the road under renovation. Government injected 67 billion shillings for the maintenance, but the contractor has taken 3 years to do the work. For maintenance,
It's unacceptable. It should stop with effect from this week. I've given them 5 days to have finished this stretch, finishing it, the one they are working.
You're still watching NBS Live at 9 from the Political Command Center. Now, the police spokesperson Rusoke Kituma says he is fast waiting for an update on the progress of investigations before making any official statement on the closure of Nation Media Group Uganda. His remarks follow the June 28, 2026 raid in which security forces surrounded and barricaded NMG Uganda's headquarters in Namongo and its broadcast centers at Kampala Serena Hotel. The operation took Daily Monitor, NTV Uganda, Spark TV, KFM and Dembe FM completely off air and out of print.
Let me first obtain information about it and get back. Yeah, since I'll need to be a little more briefed, then we shall have a conversation around it.
Malayuni Pride Bank. It is so easy. You just have to maintain a minimum monthly balance of 100K and we'll give you health insurance for free. The bigger the balance, the bigger the benefits. Visit a nearby branch or call 0800 333 999 to learn more.
Pride Bank. Your growth is our pride.
Experience the ultimate in bathing luxury with Lanzo Luxury Bathing Soap. Choose from a variety of refreshing types, including menthol, antibacterial, ice cool, blueberry, coconut, and raspberry. Each one promises an upper-world, refreshing feel that redefines your experience with bathing. Lanzo Luxury Bathing Soap, the ultimate refreshing feel. Distributed by Chopper General Enterprises, located at shop number 3, Rafik Building, Chikoba, Kampala. You can find Lanzo Luxury Bathing Soap in shops and supermarkets nearby.
The Ministry of Health informs the public to remain vigilant against Ebola virus disease. Symptoms include diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, fever, and body weakness. If you or someone you know develops these symptoms, seek medical attention immediately. Protect yourself and others by avoiding handshakes and unnecessary physical contact, washing your hands regularly with soap and water, or using an alcohol-based sanitizer. Cleaning frequently touched surfaces and avoid direct contact with infected persons' body fluids like vomit, stool, sweat, and urine. To report a suspected Ebola case, send an SMS to 6767 and type alert, or call the toll-free number 0800 100 066. Report early, protect lives.
How do you make a party? You take time to prepare, to bring all the pieces together, to craft it right. The result, great refreshment. And that makes it time well spent. Club, brewed longer for longer refreshment.
Kabalega Petro-Base Industrial Park. Imagine your business at the heart of East Africa's next industrial revolution. Welcome to Kabalega Petro-Base Industrial Park, Uganda's eco-industrial hub spanning over 7,300 acres in Hoima, home to the Uganda Refinery, the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, and Kabalega International Airport. KIP places investors at the center of Uganda's energy transformation. KIP presents investment opportunities in petrochemicals, manufacturing, agro-processing, logistics, warehousing, real estate, commercial, hospitality, ICT, and industrial services. Join us for the official launch on 7th July 2026, live on NBS TV and streamed on YouTube and social media starting at 8 a.m. Secure your place in Uganda's industrial future. Makaije, Karibu, Uganda welcomes you. Kabalega Petro-Base Industrial Park, a project by the Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC.
You need a bigger space to grow your business.
You need to be ready for any season.
You need faster checkouts for these busy days.
You need more equipment to meet demand.
You need to make sure everyone gets paid on time.
In business, you need advice, solutions, and sector expertise when it matters.
Your new office space looks great. What's next?
We get it. Absa Business Banking.
Sometimes escape begins above the clouds, where peace waits beneath the trees. Here, nature invites you to breathe, to reconnect, to feel alive again. Where warm welcomes feel as natural as the forest around you. A sanctuary designed for comfort. An and moments made to flow effortlessly. Forest Resort Louisa, where nature welcomes you home.
Welcome back. You're still watching this special edition of Live at 9, where myself, Solomon Seranja, and Mabel are making a special one-week appearance as we celebrate NBS at 18. What an honor to be marking this milestone. Now let's turn gears. Acholi sub-region and West Nile continues to be hit by drought and some parts by elephant raids in Rom sub-county, Kitgum district, and they're faced with a double portion. It's almost 4 months without rain, and yet they are faced by Karamojong raiders and elephant invasion.
In Rom sub-county, it's almost 4 months without a single drop of rain, and yet they're faced with elephant raids almost daily.
People are suffering. Our food crop, our cash crop are already dry. There's no food, there's no money. People are suffering too much. So we beg this government to support us.
Mostly this area is affected by the wild animals called the elephant and other gorillas from the hill or in the forest, that one you see around.
Many gather at the center waiting for well-wishers and NGOs they have written to for relief as they hope against hope. Since 2023, government promised to compensate some of the victims and families affected by raids from Karamojong. To date, only files with names are visible and nothing has been done.
There are many files which is rotten in office. We have like 500 files. Up to now, they did not pay anything. You know, for me, I'm new in the system, but I got like 500 files. They did not pay it.
Because when you see a lot of our crops are dried up, and there's nothing really the community can do, so we are suffering, of which we are calling even upon the government in any support. Another thing that these community of Oroms are facing about the elephants, which are affecting our crops, really a lot and a lot.
Let's stay in Acholi because a land dispute in Acholi sub-county in Padel district is threatening to stall a multi-billion shilling cassava factory project expected to transform livelihoods and boost agricultural production in northern Uganda. The dispute over a 179-acre piece of land has intensified following a court-order boundary opening exercise conducted by security personnel, with some affected parties alleging that they were excluded from the process.
A project expected to bring hope to farmers and stimulate economic growth in northern Uganda now faces uncertainty. The proposed cassava processing factory, spearheaded by Gulu Archdiocese with support from government through the Uganda Development Corporation, is expected to receive more than 4 billion shillings in funding. But before construction can proceed, a long-standing dispute over ownership of a 179-acre piece of land in Acholi Town Council remains unresolved. The contested land is being claimed by two estates, that of the late Ignatius Lakere Latigo and the late Odwong Joseph Lagoro, with both parties insisting they have legitimate ownership rights. Tensions escalated after a joint security team led by Amos Banzi, the resident district commissioner of Badere, conducted a court-directed boundary opening exercise. Some affected families claim they were neither informed nor invited to participate.
But I was surprised. The DPC came with the RDC, the party where we had the land dispute. The family of Lagor William, peaceful went to the RDC. They came with a team of army men plus policemen. They stormed the area here.
Leaders in Acholibu Town Council say they were not informed about the operation and were therefore unable to mobilize affected communities.
KNRDC, Kirung Team Mukane officers, KOCs.
Meanwhile, Dr. Lam James Lagoro, representing the estate of Adwang Joseph Lagoro, has denied allegations that his family encroached on the disputed land.
I'm not aware that we have encroached onto anybody's land. I'm not aware. Muzee was not aware, so I don't know anything.
The disagreement further escalated after some family members reportedly went to the Pader district headquarters seeking clarification over the exercise, but were allegedly arrested and detained before being released later that night.
If they are going to force this project in this land, problems will come in. We thought we could seek divine justice, but yesterday we were disappointed that even the divine justice we cannot rely on.
This is a matter which has been in the court, and it is court that gave the order for boundary opening.
Court documents indicate that the disputed land overlaps the boundaries of both estates and that no clear records exist to establish ownership of the contested area. The court has directed local leaders, parish officials, and sub-county authorities to engage communities and verify ownership through settlement histories and ground assessments. With government investment of more than 3 billion shillings hanging in the balance, uncertainty remains over the future of one of northern Uganda's most anticipated agro-industrial projects.
Now, the Rotary Club of Kampala Alibad has installed Sam Ntulume as its 7th president, succeeding Victoria Kayaga Chigundu in a leadership transition that signals a renewed commitment to community service and transformational impact. While delivering his inaugural address, President Sam Ntulume anchored his message on Joshua chapter 6 during a parallel between the biblical story of the walls of Jericho and the club's journey over the past 7 years. Ntulume notes that just as the Israelites walked around the walls of Jericho for 6 days and 7 times on the 7th day before the walls fell, he believes the Rotary Club of Kampala Alibad is entering a season of victory.
Amid celebration, members of the Rotary Club of Kampala Alibad gathered to witness the installation of Sam Ntulume as the club's 7th president, succeeding Victoria Kayaga Chigundu. Chartered on June 18, 2020, the club is now looking ahead with renewed commitment to community service. In his acceptance speech, President Sam Ntulume highlighted that the 7th year represents God's blessings. Ntulume urged members to focus on creating lasting impact through projects that change lives, restore hope, and improve the well-being of the communities.
They have clearly articulated our district's 9136 priorities, which are strengthening membership, empowering the youth, supporting the Rotary Foundation, improving public image, building leadership and capacity, and delivering impactful community service.
Club members tasked Ntulume to strengthen Rotary's public image to inspire more people to support and participate in community service initiatives.
Immediate past president of the Rotary Club of Kampala Alibad. This Unite for Good year, we've served, we've created impact. Most significantly, we finished and handed over a classroom block to the community in Lukumbi in Nakaseke district.
Before I go further, I would like to thank Rotarian Victoria Chigundu by osmosis of Mukungu as well. Where is she? By osmosis, she's of Mukungu. Thank you so much for what you've done to this.
Ntulume pledged to champion aimed at promoting safer road use and reducing preventable road crashes.
We shall also identify opportunities to contribute towards road safety awareness in our country, given the critical road safety challenges that you're all...
Amid
You're watching NBS Live at 9. With us here is a Rotary member, outgoing president.
Immediate past president of the Rotary Club.
They don't say outgoing president, they say immediate past president.
So because the year has ended, Rotary has ended, we are now immediate past presidents.
All right, can you just tell us one of the things, just one thing that you did for the club?
So my club
during
is...
your tenure?
Yeah, my club is a first corporate club in our district, 9214. And it's really interesting that as a corporation, National Medical Stores, where I work, we were able to come together and create a Rotary Club. So It's an extension of our CSR and doing good for the community.
What's the possibility of you recruiting both of us?
You need to talk to me after here, or I'll talk to you after here.
Or talk to us.
After here.
Rotarian
You need to join Rotary because you guys have very beautiful hearts, very big hearts for doing good for the community, just like Mr. Kin Karisa, and I know that's the next story.
Yeah, service above self it is, and congratulations.
And he's also an outgoing president. He's an immediate past president.
Immediate past
of the Rotary Club of Chigo, 7 Lakes Golf.
Wow.
Okay.
We should be Rotarians soon.
Yes, we should soon.
You're watching NBS Live at 9 now. A viral expost has paid off for one of the station's loyal viewers. This after NBS employee James Mutatina called on Next Media CEO Kin Karisa to help a loyal viewer who watches NBS on an old TV at his clinic. Today, the viewer got his wish. The owner of Ama Clinic in Kawempe, Mbogo, a Kawempe suburb, received a brand new 43-inch smart TV from NBS installed right at his facility. He has been watching the news on a small TV set for years. Let's take a look at that story.
This is the set AMA Clinic in Kawempe has relied on to watch NBS television for years. The picture quality is poor, but still draws crowds during peak hours to watch their favorite programs on NBS television. Moved by the situation, NBS employee James Mutatina tagged the Next Media Group CEO Kin Karisa in a tweet calling for support. Karisa responded immediately and delivered on this promise.
I just entered because I wanted to watch NBS. So as I was watching, got to realize that the TV is old format, the picture was not good. So I decided to take pictures and I tweeted. I tagged my boss. Just a few minutes, the boss replied saying we should look for this place. They get them a new smart TV.
The owner of AMA Clinic expressed his excitement and thanked the Next Media Group CEO Kin Karisa, saying the gesture came as a complete surprise.
Today I'm very happy that he is here. He has tried his best that he delivers the TV for us.
I watched Samuel Senwanja and others that puts NBS up to be heard louder. We are happy.
According to the Next Media Senior Manager Corporate Affairs, Desire Derek Ford Mugumesa, NBS has delivered as promised.
Called upon the group CEO to just improve the platform through which they were consuming NBS. So today we deliver on that promise that the group CEO made, and we've delivered a 43-inch TV set that we believe will better serve the people at this medical center. For us, this is giving back to them and to enable them further in their consuming of the amazing content that we continue to work hard to put together so we can continue to inform, to transform Uganda.
By the time we left, the 43-inch TV was already installed and ready for viewing. The old cathode ray tube TV set was kept in the store.
Well, as we continue celebrating 18 years of being on air, we will be rewarding our loyal clients, our loyal viewers. So keep it NBS. Wherever you are, whether you're in a clinic like that loyal viewer, or you're at school, or you are in your home, we'll be coming to you to reward you and give back to you. So certainly, Mabel, it's a great feeling that you replace your small little screen with a 43-inch screen.
Yes, and of course it must be elated. But of course, it's a question to all of us on what do we use our social media handles for. I've used it for Be Inspired series, continuously motivating or inspiring, bringing different personalities and, X-Spaces once in a while, at least whenever I get an opportunity to do that.
So my social media, which is really largely Twitter and Instagram. Instagram has its own content. Twitter has largely my day job, which is I'm the Principal Public Relations Officer of National Medical Stores. So you'll most likely find me posting about National Medical Stores, but also Rotary, because that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years that I was away from the screens. My club, the Rotary Club of Medical Stars, what we're doing, the different medical camps that we conduct, over 2,100 people in each medical camp that we have held. So my social media is really about the things we're doing for the community as my organization and as my Rotary Club.
How about you, mate?
What do you do, Solo?
Well,
that is bringing you problems.
News is the currency of my trade, and investigative journalism is the currency of my trade. So All I do is post news, investigations, hard questions, the show that I do, that sometimes brings me problems. Yeah, but that's what I really do with my socials.
And what do you do, Mabel? You said inspiring stories.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right.
My Instagram is
Sheila, I used to do something with Instagram. The lives.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break.
Let's take a break and continue with this conversation.